In addition to the issues that arise as a result of the placement of the microphone relative to the speaker, you can also encounter challenges associated with the placement of a microphone relative to the sound source. In this case, the vocalist. If a singer holds the microphone further away, you'll need to use more gain to achieve the same signal level, and you already know that increasing the gain increases the chance of feedback. The closer the vocalist gets to the mic, on the other hand, the less gain will be required to achieve a given signal level. However, proximity to a directional microphone comes at a cost. Because of the proximity effect, you'll hear a buildup of low-frequency energy as the microphone is placed closer to the sound source, which could make for a muddy vocal sound. Ideally, the vocalist will be a moderate distance away from the mic and will sing loudly into the microphone, increasing the amount of vocal relative to surrounding noise and energy from nearby speakers. But if the vocalist sings quietly and they hold the microphone too far away, you'll likely encounter some problems. One of those potential problems is microphone feedback, as we've already discussed. But there's another problem that can be just as challenging if your goal is a clear, well-balanced mix. That's the problem of leakage from other instruments and noises. Noise from the audience will be mitigated by distance and the polar pattern of the microphone. However, the microphone's polar pattern won't help us when the noise comes from the same direction as the vocalist. For example, we almost always place the lead vocalist directly in front of the drummer, and this places the cymbals directly in the area where the mic is most sensitive. That can be particularly problematic as the frequency range of the cymbals overlaps with the frequency range of the vocal. This problem can be mitigated by using distance, although that's not often possible on small stages. It can also be mitigated by placing the drums to the side or behind a barrier, but that comes with some additional acoustical challenges that I won't get into here. For these reasons, it's very important that vocalists project their voices and practice good microphone technique. Poor microphone technique can also impact the max gain before feedback and the clarity of the vocal performance in other ways. The best example of this is when the vocalist cups the microphone in their hand. See, the directionality of a directional microphone relies on the technology that surrounds the microphone capsule. There are ports and labyrinths in the microphone's design that allow it to create phase cancellations at various frequencies by providing various pathways to the microphone capsule depending on the direction the sound is traveling. And if you block these alternate pathways by cupping the microphone, you'll reduce, if not eliminate, the effectiveness of the cardioid or supercardioid polar pattern, making feedback much more likely and negatively impacting the tone of the signal. The best fix for this problem would be not to cup the microphone, but there's only so much you can do if an artist cups the microphone during a performance. Fortunately, some microphone designs are less susceptible to the negative effects of cupping the mic than others. Thanks to the open design of microphones such as the Heil RC37 and PR37, the pathways are more difficult to block with poor microphone technique. Even if I cup the PR37 in my hand, the tone remains relatively consistent compared to some other mics that are more closed on the rear. Now, I'm not here to talk trash on other microphone companies, so we're going to keep the model of microphone I'm using currently secret. But listen to how the tone changes when I cup this very common stage handheld microphone. You can hear that cupping the mic dramatically alters the tone of the sound, and it will also dramatically alter the ability for the microphone to reject feedback. Compare that to the sound of the Heil PR37, and you can immediately hear the difference. This design also helps the microphone reject potential feedback when cupped. Therefore, using a mic like this can save you in situations where the vocalist cups the mic. Not to mention the fact that leakage from other instruments is often more pleasing with this type of microphone design compared to the leakage that you'll experience when using a more closed design microphone. Of course, microphone technique is a factor in studio recording as well. However, you can often use compression and clip gain to resolve these imbalances without worrying too much about leakage and without worrying at all about feedback. In live sound, these techniques can exacerbate the problem or cause new issues to arise. So it's best to use tools and techniques that combat the impact of poor microphone technique up front.